Peter Para one.
Tēnā koe, Mr. Speaker, tēnā tātou I te hare. Ai ki te kōrero tui te rangi e runga, tui te papa ki raro. Tui I te here tangata, ka puta ki te whei ao, ki te ao maro. E te mea tuatahi, e tika ana ki a tautoko ngā mihi I mihi ngea aku hoa I roto te whare nei. Ki te haka tau I a koutou I haere mai tawhiti. Ki te tautoko, ki te mātakitaki, te urunga mai o tēnei pire ki haka tau tā koutou wawata. Aha koa, I roto te hakaro e tahi atu, ka nui te aroha te krauna ki a koutou. Engari kia mohena I a tātou, I roto I ngā mamaitanga, ngā kōrero, ngā hitori, hoki, he ahu iti nohi o tēnei. Kahatia, engari I muata haere tonu o tēnei tū, e tika ana kia mihi kauana ki tēnā o ngā mate kei wainganui a koutou, me e rātu, e kore rātou I wainganui a tātou I timata mai tēnei kaupapa kia mau mai kei wainganui a tātou I tarane. Nā reira haramai. Haramai taranaki ki tēnei o tō tātou whare. E hara nā mātou e noho nei I raro I a koutou I tarane. Nā tātou tēnei whare. Nā reira haramai. Pikau tia mai ngā tini aitu kei wainganui a koutou, kei te tūhonohono ki tēnā o ngā mate kei wainganui a tātou. A reira ka aha ko ka nui rau atu ngā mihi mā rātou. Ka rei rātou ke hoki mai. Nā reira I ngā mate haere hoki atu. Ko e te wāhi mā rātou ko hoki mai a tātou te hungora. Nā reira tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou. E mihi kauna ki a koe e te hoa e mahara. Maharana I te wā e noho koe I roto te whare nei he minita. Ko koe nahe, ka nui toku aroha ki au, I kite mai I noho nei I te taho te huarahi, ka hara mai I runga tō waka minita, ko koe nahe I pātai mai ki au e pita, hara mai kei runga. Nā reira ka nui ngā mihi kia koe. Mr. Speaker, I think it's important that while previous speakers have spoken about the settlement and have acknowledged the Minister, and I join with them in acknowledging the Minister, I think it's important that we do articulate a little bit about the history that has brought this issue to the House today. Because I want to do so, and previous speakers, particularly Mr. Davis from Tai Tokaro, alluded to the fact that there are members within our wider society who do not necessarily support these settlements, and in fact argue that perhaps Māori are continuing to put their hand out. And I want to articulate the reasons why we have these claims. And I want to say, Mr. Speaker, that from 1840, Te Atiawa came under significant pressure to sell their land. And this is the year that the Treaty of Waitangi was signed. And so I just want to remind those who may be listening to this debate this morning. In the 1840s and 50s, Crown agents sought to purchase Te Atiawa land, despite being aware of disagreement amongst the people themselves. By the mid-1850s, Crown purchasing had contributed to enmity and fighting within Te Atiawa, resulting in the loss of life of some of them. In 1860, the Crown deemed resistance to the survey of the Peka Peka block at Waitara, led by Te Atiawa Rangatira Wiramukingi Te Rangitake, to be an act of rebellion, and commenced hostilities against him and his followers. A peace agreement was negotiated after 1 year of fighting. But unsurprisingly, conflict resumed 2 years later. And over the following 2 years, a number of engagements were fought in the Te Atiawa Rohe, resulting in the destruction of property and loss of life. In 1865, the Crown proclaimed 1.2 million acres of Taranaki land confiscated, including all of the Te Atiawa Rohe. The confiscations were indiscriminate in that they deprived both loyal and, inverted commas, rebel Māori of the ownership and use of their lands. In 1866, the Compensation Court began the process to return confiscated land to Māori. However, most of the readily usable land was already occupied by European settlers. By 1880, most of the Compensation Court's awards to Te Atiawa individuals had not been implemented. The compensation process created uncertainty and distress amongst the people of Te Atiawa about where they were to live and whether they had security of title. Later in the century, many Te Atiawa people were supporting Te Whiti o Rongomai and Tohu Kakahi and the movement for Maori peace and independence that they had established at Parihaka. Between 1879 and 1880, many Te Atiawa people participating in campaigns of peaceful resistance initiated at Parihaka were exiled to the South Island, where they were detained in harsh conditions without trial. And I want to just reiterate that point, that they were exiled to the South Island. And given the climatic changes that they would have had to endure, any compensation that we talk about today would certainly not alleviate the pain of that process. Between 1879 and 80, people participating in campaigns of peaceful resistance continued to be arrested. Some Te Atiawa people who were arrested did receive trials, but were then detained beyond the terms of their court imposition. One can only imagine if that sort of activity happened today, what the reaction would be. In the early 1880s, the West Coast Commissions investigated Maori grievances, including the failure to implement compensation awards, and returned a limited amount of land to Te Atiawa. However, virtually all of the land granted to Te Atiawa was under uncustomary individualized title, and much of it was rough or inaccessible. In addition, the reserves were not returned to Te Atiawa outright, but were placed under the control of the public trustee, and we heard Mr. Davis make reference to that in his presentation. The public trustee then sold or leased in perpetuity large areas to European farmers, and in 1963, the titles of all remaining Taranaki reserves were amalgamated, leaving owners without specific interests in customary land. Today, less than 5% of the area that was reserved for Maori is now in Maori freehold ownership. During the 20th century, Crown efforts to address Taranaki Maori grievances failed. Some were limited in their scope, and others provided for compensation payments that were not discussed with either Te Atiawa or other Taranaki Māori. The Taranaki Māori Claims Settlement Act of 1944 stated that the sums were a full settlement of claims relating to the confiscations and Parihaka. And I can recall in my earlier term in this House when a particular settlement bill was discussed, that a member of this House made reference to that particular matter. But what he failed to say was that there was no evidence that the Te Atiawa or other iwi had agreed to that process. And even now, there is some doubt as to whether or not they received anything as a result. Te Atiawa has also experienced significant distress at the degradation of their environment, including the loss of indigenous plants and animals, and the pollution of waterways and important offshore fishing reefs. Mr. Speaker, this settlement bill is aimed at addressing many of those issues. However, as was alluded to by the Minister, that there can never be full compensation. We therefore need to recognise the generosity of Te Atiawa in accepting this settlement. However, Mr. Speaker, I commend this bill and to the House and hope that it is in fact referred to the Maori Affairs Select Committee, because I know, like all other settlements, although well-intended, there will be members of the affected tribe who will not have any sense of agreement to this settlement. And I would like, through that process, the opportunity to hear their views. Nā reira e tātou mā, aha koa e ahua moata tēnei wā, hakaro nau mena he kaupapa Pākehā, tuku nā tu tēnei wahanga ki te ahi nei. Engari he kaupapa Māori, wena ta take he ahua moata tomato tu e te rāne. Nā reira, Mr. Speaker, tēnā koe, tēnā koutou, kia ora mai no tātou.